Hello everybody. How are you doing? I'm very glad to see you here today. We had a mix of colder and warmer days recently and also a lot of rainy ones. But I finally slowly started my spring cleaning, and there are some spots in the apartment that I haven't touched for the past half of the year or so since I was decluttering in the fall. And I assume these spots would love to get some of my attention today. I'm glad you are joining me for this spring cleaning reorganizing day. We have that top shelf in the girls' room that is pretty high, and we store books there that we don't read very often, like classics, sentimental books, books the kids will read when they get older, and just any random books that I don't know where else to store. So, usually there are things we love and want to keep, but sometimes there can also be things that might be decluttered. And my biggest issue with that shelf was that it was messy and disorganized, especially at the back where I couldn't see it very well. And I feel like books just deserve better, and I also don't remember if I went through it since we moved into this apartment a year and a half ago. So it's been quite a while. And I decided to start my spring cleaning today with that shelf and other abandoned corners in the apartment. I noticed that dark spot on the wall right there, and I got really worried it might be mold because that would mean the books could get moldy and I'd have to throw them away, which of course I don't want to do. It's like the nightmare. This wall gets pretty cold in winter. The insulation here is not done very well, and I thought there was a chance of it to be mold, but after I sprayed it with anti-mold spray, I saw that it was just fine. It looked like a lot of like brown book dust, and it was a big relief for me. Anyway, I cleaned the shelf, I opened the windows, I let the fresh air, waited for the anti-mold spray to dry, and I also carefully checked every single book just in case. I know it wasn't mold, but I still tried to make sure that all the books are fine. I once had a couple of vintage books that got moldy on their own just standing on the shelf, and it was pretty gross. So I'm now a bit skeptical about buying old books, although I've always been a big lover of vintage books. But that was a very sad moment for me, and now I always like double check all the books, especially old ones. The kids pretty much always follow me and like to look at what I'm doing. Sometimes they run around and play by themselves, and I have some peaceful time filming, just cleaning and organizing and doing something on my own. But if I do something interesting, like taking all the books down from the shelf, of course they want to join and see everything. So, yeah, they wanted to see all the books I took down, and I was able to give them some that I already dusted. All the books looked fine, no mold, just perfect condition. I dusted them all and put them back in a nice order. I also decluttered just a few of them and also realized that we have more space on the shelf than I thought. So I brought more books from the closet that I feel fit there better. husband and I love books, not only to read, but also just to look through them, beautiful books. And a lot of the ones we have hold sentimental value as well. So even though I try to be minimal with everything else in the house, I'm always excited about books, and I'm still pretty mindful and keep only physical books that I would want in our forever family library and that would be hard to buy outside of Russia. So, mostly books in Russian language, kids' books, like classics, stuff like that. Everything I read new, I read usually on my Kindle first or online to see if I want to get it in paper. And we also have some books that we are currently reading in paper, but we don't want to keep them long term, and I'll be finding a new home for them as soon as we finish reading them. I would also love to invest in more paper books or like hardcover books. I already have a wish list, but I try not to purchase them now and wait until we have our own house or apartment with more storage space, because this place doesn't really have a convenient space for books. And the ones we already have seem to fit very tightly here, and I don't think it would be wise to add more books here right now. The books we want to have in English we also plan to buy later, after all the immigration processes are settled. I don't want to move with them since it's easy to buy them in most countries, and I don't think it makes sense to bring them with us from place to place. I can easily buy them literally anywhere in the world, either just offline in local stores or online on places like Amazon. I still have about 6 or so classical books in English, but these are very special and beautiful prints, and I don't know, I just love them so much. I want to keep them forever, so they are moving with us from place to place. Speaking about books, my husband asked to share about his new book. He writes Christian books, and it's the last day of a free Kindle version of his new one he recently finished. It's a little different from everything he wrote before because it's very personal and sentimental for him. It's the story of his testimony and the way God worked in his life when he was a teenager in post-Soviet Russia. So his struggles in school, his dreams, insecurities, relationships, and stuff like that. He grew in half-Christian family, which was an extremely rare situation at that time in Russia, but the environment around him and the influence of the world around was very, very strong. And he loves to tell the story of his young years, sharing how the Lord saved him. But even I never heard such a deep and detailed version of it as he wrote in the book. So if you're interested, there is a link in the description for this book. It's called The Weakest, and as I mentioned, you can download it for free right now when this video comes out. I'm not sure how long it will last, but right now there is an option like that. I didn't plan it today, but I also decided to wash my daughter's bed sheets since a lot of dust from the books got on her bed. And then I moved to our bedroom. We have the dresser where I store some things that are waiting to be given away or sold. I believe in that famous saying that one man's trash is another man's treasure, so I try to rehome even small little things. It can be a bit annoying to store things you've already decluttered, and sometimes it's easier to just throw everything away because when you declutter, you just want things to get out of your house right away as soon as possible. But over time, I've noticed that everything finds a new home eventually, and if I don't think about these things much and just wait for them to find a new home, it gives me joy knowing that each thing has a better place now and is not just thrown away. But I understand people who can't wait and just throw things away because they annoy them. It's like, I understand, it's perfectly fine. It's better than storing all the clutter in your house. I added books here that I decided to declutter from the shelf. I put them on the dresser, and I also have all of our board games here now. I love our board games. I really do. And we played them quite a lot. And I would also love to have them long term in our home. But I've noticed that we haven't played them for about a year. And I decided to sell them since I'm currently lightening up our belongings for easier moving in the future. Board games are easy to find and easy to buy anywhere in any country. They're sold new or used, so it's not a problem at all. And I don't plan to move across countries with them. So I'll be selling them anyway at some point, and I just decided to sell it now during my spring cleaning. We don't have any particular plan to move soon, I know you would be asking. So, no, we don't have any plan like that for the next several months. But we still have that long term desire, and I want to slowly reduce the things we don't use regularly to have less things to take care of and worry about later. It gives me peace of mind and comfort to feel that I'm slowly preparing for what we're praying for, even though we don't have any answers yet. I feel like slowly preparing for that is part of my trust in the Lord. And it also gives us extra money we can use for current needs, which is a nice bonus. For example, after I sold some bigger items recently, we fixed everything that needed to be fixed in our car, and we went through yearly car checkup, and yeah, I'm quite happy about it. We also been fixing my husband's teeth recently and doing extra medical appointments, and I feel like we're doing a good job just preparing ourselves to be ready, to be like lightweight and open for the answers from the Lord about where we're going to live in the future. And yeah, just being kind of ready for everything that the future will bring. In our dresser, in the top and second drawers are just my husband's and my home clothes and underwear. So we open them every day and I organize them quite often. But the third drawer has our papers, photos, kids' drawings, document folders, sentimental keepsakes, like all of this office kind of stuff. We don't open that often, and I organize it only maybe a couple of times a year, so pretty rarely. And it is time to do it again. I feel like it needs some attention of mine.
Мама, кажется, эта лама прям подходит для моего листика. Кажется, эта лама прям подходит для...
Подходит.
Когда у меня будут дырочки, это будут мои сережки, да?
Угу.
Так вставлю себе, будет красиво. А сейчас... Нет, хочу вот это посмотреть. Какой-то домик даже.
Of course, the kids decided to join me there as well, and they were excited to go through all the photos and little treasures in my sentimental box. I usually don't let them touch it, but when I'm decluttering it and going through that, they can sit around and look and touch and play with some items. There are also a lot of things that sort of belong to them, but are so valuable and sentimental to me that I keep them in my box, like things that they had as newborns in the hospital or when I gave birth, or some ballot medals that my daughter got, and I'm worried they will lose them, and also I treasure them as a mom, so I keep them in my box.
Это чего, свинец?
The last part I was thinking to go through today is the main kitchen cabinets. I declutter and organize them quite often, maybe every other month. But since they're used every day and it's all pantry food, extra dishes storage that we have, this place gets messy very fast. Sometimes, I'm cooking, just throwing things in, taking things out. So, yeah, it just gets bad and disorganized very fast. I decided to just go from top to bottom, take everything out, clean the cabinets, and put back only what we need. I also want to organize everything better so each item has a better place. I sometimes keep glass jars for storing grains and spices. I mean, just empty glass jars that are left from other kinds of food, but I guess there are too many already, so I'll just put most of them in my glass recycling bag and bring them to the recycling center a little bit later. I honestly don't have anything against storing food in original bags. It can actually be more convenient sometimes, so you don't have all the containers and boxes and jars. But if food doesn't get eaten quickly, glass jars usually protect it better from bugs. So usually if I'm not sure we'll eat something soon, I prefer keeping it in a glass jar just for better protection and longer shelf life. I also tried deciding on specific categories for each shelf, like doing super perfect organization. But since it's a small space and it's frequently used, I've noticed that keeping it flexible works better. There are always random items coming and going, something gifted, something new to try. And I don't want to overthink this storage here. It's very small, it's inconvenient space. And the only thing that really helps is less organizing, but keeping it just minimal and decluttering regularly and eating what we already have before buying more. This is like the only thing that helps this space functioning, because no organization would help it that much as just keeping it minimal.
Очень красиво.
My husband is not here for dinner today, so it's just me and the kids, and we're having leftovers. It's one of those meals that can be described as I checked what we had and just threw it in a pan. It's sort of a chicken, potato, and beetroot stew. I also added fried onions and some greens, and that's pretty much it. That's the whole meal. My girls really loved that it is pink. They called it princess dinner, and I loved that I used those poor, sad beetroots in our fridge. I always forget about beetroots. I love the taste, but cooking them is not my favorite. So chances of them dying in our fridge are usually pretty high. And when I saw them yesterday, I was like, you know what? I'll just peel all of you and throw you in a stew. So there are a lot of beetroots in this one. And they're all gone. I'm very proud of myself.
Ням-ням.
Да, в животе тюрьма, да?
Не, я делаю суп.
М.
Ням действительно. А можно будем строить вакуум всякие штучки? Да.
Anyway, I finished everything I wanted to do today in terms of like taking care of our home, and now I can relax with my tea a little bit before starting the 100 step bedtime routine with 3 kids. Yeah, thank you guys for hanging out with me today, and I hope you had a good time, and I hope to see you in my next video, guys. Bye bye.